Right, hello everybody. We get quite a few inquiries about what is required to send to us when you are purchasing one of our harnesses. So I thought to make it nice and easy, I'll do a quick video just to show you exactly what it is that we require when we do these harnesses for you. This one is specifically going to relate to a 1UZ VVT-i, so that would be IS400 98 to 2000 specific harness, and in this case specifically for an IS200 or IS300 or Altezza plug and play harness. All right, so to start off with the main one, and that is, this is your main engine harness. So as you can see, plastic cover goes at the back. You've got your two sections that go down the side of the engine. You have your ECU, and that's what I call your main sort of engine harness that goes all over the place. Now then, if you have a look here, you'll see there's three plugs that come on the engine harness itself. All right, so they will come along with your harness itself. Now then, you have a 28 pin plug, a 22 pin plug, and a 26 pin plug. These remain in the vehicle, so what you would normally do is cut them out. Now, we don't need a lot of wire. We don't use any of the original wire that are in these three plugs. It's all brand new, so we literally just need enough wire, so 3 or 4 inches, just so we've got enough wire to actually deepen all the plugs that you send in. We can supply all these three brand new, so if you can't get them or you didn't get them with your harness, don't stress. We can just add them to your quote and supply them for you. All right, so just to show you on an actual engine itself, all right. So basically the main engine harness runs along here. You've got all your injector plugs over here. You've got your coil plugs over here. 3UZ coils, but obviously 1UZ just had the slightly bigger coils. Runs along here. You've got your coolant temp plug over there, your oil control valve over here, and then it runs down here to your alternator, and then your oxygen sensor plug runs all the way back down here. All right, so that's that side, and obviously along the back here, all right, you've got your earth points over here, so you'll have to unbolt these. These will be bolted down, and they'll be bolted down by 2 of these metal rings. All right, and obviously it goes all the way along here as well. Again, so all plugs for your throttle, you've got 2 here, oil control, all your injectors, your cam sensors, your coils, and then it runs down the front here to a cam sensor, runs down all the way through. It'll make its way through this little cover here, go down to the crank sensor at the bottom here, and then you'll have your oil pressure switch, which I'm using a 3UZ engine, but yours will be around here. And again, you'll have a lambda plug, but that'll actually come down this side over here, and you've got this big metal bracket that actually covers it, so you can take that off. Okay, so that's the main engine harness that you get. Okay, so that's the one part that we need. The second part that we actually need is what I call the V-bank harness, if you will. So this is the one that goes actually under the intake. So it literally goes inside here. It's got one plug that comes out over here, and that plug plugs into this plug at the back here. So you can unplug that, and that separates that bottom harness from your main engine harness over there. Now on a 1UZ VVT-i, you've got this section which goes onto your starter motor. You can see your starter motor plug. You can see your 2 knock sensor plugs. So obviously we strip this all down, make sure it's all fine, fix any wires if they are broken, fix connectors if they are broken, which they usually are. As you can see on this one, clip is gone. All right. Now on the 1UZ VVT-i, you have a very, very long main power starter cable, whatever you want to call it. So that actually runs on right-hand drive vehicles, which is what we have in the UK. Left-hand drive will be the other side, but they actually run all the way down here along the block. Okay, so you're gonna have to take all of that off to get that whole harness section out, because the battery lived in the front of the engine bay on an IS400 VVT-i. All right, so that's the other harness section that we need, just so we can go through it all and make sure it's correct. You don't want to get the harness back and one of your knock sensor wires are broken and you end up with a knock sensor code and you lose all your power. All right. Number 3. Now this harness section, if you've bought a motor off of somebody, you're more than likely not going to get it. This one actually ran under the engine, and this is a little sort of plastic covering that ran along the subframe, and it bolted to the subframe. Now what we use off of this is obviously aircon plug, oil pressure sensor, oil pressure switch, oil level, because that works on an IS200, and your alternator plug. All right, we don't need this entire harness section, we just need those plugs. All right, so you can just chop those off. The reason is this long alternator cable, which is your main alternator cable that bolts onto the alternator, this actually bolts directly onto your fuse box for your IS200. So you can actually run this along the subframe from the one side to the other side, bolt it down into your fuse box on your IS200, and you can do that before you put your engine in. That's the easiest time to do it. All right, so that's that section over there. So we've got main engine harness, which is the one that goes all the way over the top. We've got your ECU, which we require. You've got your 3 plugs here, which you can either, if you're lucky enough to have a whole vehicle, you can just cut them out and just plug them into the ECU and send them off with your main harness. Then you've got your sub harness, which goes underneath the V-bank, and that's the other one over there. And then this one specifically, we just actually need the connectors off of this. You can send it in and we will obviously strip it and send the main big cable back, but if you don't want to do that and you want to fit it in your vehicle so long, just chop off these connectors. So to repeat that, that's oil level, which is this one over here. Alternator, so these are about in the same place, right by the actual alternator itself. Then you have on the other side, you've got your aircon and you've got your oil pressure switch. All right, so those are the ones that we need. The rest can obviously just, you just keep it and the rest can be chucked away. All right. And then the other harness that we ask for usually is your IS200 engine harness. All right, so most of the time the guys will just send us in complete. We're obviously salvaging all the connectors off of, specifically, you know, on the ECU side. These are all the body plugs, so we're taking these and we're adding them into the harness to make it a plug and play. Obviously, if you're using a J160 gearbox, we're also salvaging all of the speed sensor and reverse plugs, all right, off of the harness, and that's what we're salvaging off of there. All the connectors we salvage off of here, we can supply to you. So if for whatever reason you can't send it because you'll want to keep your car running, or you don't have one, etc., etc., you've got a bare shell that you're working with, don't worry too much. Again, we can supply those connectors to you. All right, and yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. I just wanted to make sure that I thought it'd be, much easier if you guys could actually physically see, what it is that we actually need from you. There will be other videos to follow, so I'll do the 3UZ harness sections, and I'll do the 1UZ non-VVT-i as well. All right, but that's it for now. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Just to add one more thing on for the 1UZ VVT-i harnesses, or the engines specifically, this setup here and this little connector to the top here, that's your ACIS, or what they call acoustic control induction system. That varies the intake runner length, and there's little sort of 8 butterfly valves all across here, which effectively half the intake length at higher RPM for a shorter runner length for more horsepower, less torque, but obviously close them for a long runner length for more torque low down. So while the engine's out, what you can do, just apply 12 volts and a ground to this plug over here. Got little terminals in there. Don't know if you can see it on the camera, but anyway, they are there. So you can supply that, and you can actually hear the solenoid underneath the V-bank here click. If you don't hear it click, obviously swap the wires around first just to make sure you got the polarity correct. But if you don't, replace it, because losing this acoustic control induction system causes a lot of loss of power low down. And that's obviously not ideal. You don't want to swap this engine in and lose all that low down torque. So again, the easy way to check if it's still working when your actual vehicle engine is in the vehicle and running is this here is in the what I call open position. As soon as you start the car, after a few seconds, it'll do that. So that shows you that the ACI system is working. If it doesn't do that, then it's not working. Time to get underneath there and replace that valve. So replace that vacuum solenoid valve. Some guys have actually, obviously the wire comes all the way up here. It is just 2 vacuum hoses that attach it to the canister underneath there. So if you wanted to, and you want to obviously not have to get back underneath there in the future if you wanted to replace it, there's nothing stopping you from obviously replacing the vacuum hoses and bringing that solenoid out and actually bringing it out here into the open. So that is another option for you as well. All right.